Hi, beautiful people. My name is Autumn Darling, and this is Cosmic Questioning. I'm so happy to have everybody here. I'm sorry it took me so long to be able to do this. I just had to be able to afford equipment, and I finally have all that stuff, so I am ready to go. So without further ado, first of all, I'm going to just highlight what we're going to be mostly doing on this channel here. I'm going to be talking about a lot of spirituality and meditation practices, as well as self-healing, and just kind of what my own personal journey has been thus far. A lot of times you're able to pick up from other people and see from their journeys just some things that could help you and some things that could hurt you, ways to avoid stuff, and things like that. So today I was going to talk a little bit about neutrality and duality. They're two laws of the universe that have definitely helped me up until this point, but I didn't have somebody to describe them to me and explain what their experiences were, so I never fully understood them, and at first they almost hindered me in my spiritual practices rather than helped me. So today let's talk about neutrality first. If you're not familiar, neutrality is remaining neutral in a situation. This is the idea that there is no bad, there is no good, there is just neutral. It's kind of, instead of black and white, it's the gray area in between. Things aren't always the way that they seem. The source energy type of thing. And if you're not familiar with source up until this point, I have a few videos that I've talked about it and mentioned it. But source is essentially what I believe most religions depict as God. It's what created the source of the universe, the source of everything. It is that interconnectality that we all have, whether that's through the air that we're touching each other, or through the ground that we're touching each other, or through emotions that we're connected. That is essentially what that source energy is, and it's flowing through all of us at all times, but we don't always notice it because we're in these bodies and we're experiencing life through a human perspective. And that is what's called ego. So we have a ego, which is a personality, something that makes us feel separated from other people or different than other people, which isn't always a bad thing, but it can be really easily. So neutrality is just kind of getting rid of that ego and understanding that source energy is the main important thing that's through all of us. And truly, if we get down to it, ego doesn't even really exist. All that it exists is source. So neutrality is that understanding that there isn't bad things that happen to you or good things that happen to you. There's just life. It's just how it is. It's neutral. There's no getting around it. For example, for a really beautiful ecosystem, a rainforest or something like that, it's absolutely stunning, and there are so many bits and pieces of it that are working together to make it look that way. But there are also lions and tigers and birds that are murderous and mosquitoes everywhere and all sorts of things that aren't necessarily positive, This is where the neutrality comes in, is where it's just a neutral thing. And then duality, that is almost the exact opposite, which is kind of frustrating because they're both spiritual laws of the universe, but they mean opposite things. So, love that. But duality is also called the law of polarity, which I didn't know until I was researching a little more into it. But it's just like the North Pole and South Pole, or like magnetism works. There has to be good and bad. There has to be north and south. There has to be positive and negative for things to be able to work together. So it's acknowledging that the negative is there and the positive is there. It's not pretending like it doesn't exist or it's not negative or positive like neutrality does. But it's saying it's like yin and yang. These energies work together. This as above, so below type of thing works together to create the universe that we live in. And it's so frustrating, like I said too, when I heard in the beginning that these two laws of the universe completely contradicts each other. So it's like, which one am I supposed to use? Like, you guys said neutrality and duality, but like I can't use both. They're completely different things. But actually you can. One way I've been able to integrate both of them into my life, for example, if I'm in a situation and my boss is saying something really mean to me, let's say, and I know that they're way out of line, if I'm trying to remain neutral, that could help me not get as angry, because you know what? Whatever they're doing has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with what's going on in their lives and their ego and things like that, but that doesn't mean it needs to affect me. So I'm going to remain neutral. So in that situation, it would be helpful to remain neutral because it's not going to affect you as much or anything like that. And you're embodying that source energy. But a good time to be dual or have duality would be, let's say you're already affected by your boss and they cussed you out or something like that, and you're beyond pissed at this point. There's no like going back, there's no pretending that didn't happen or pretending it's not bad or good or whatever. At that point, your emotions are too heightened for you to be able to make a like wise decision. So that's when you need to come up with the duality aspect of, okay, well maybe my boss did yell at me. That means I need to set boundaries, and I need to maybe choose a different job, talk to somebody, figure it out, something like that. But it doesn't mean that it's automatically a terrible thing that they yelled at me. Honestly, I've been having problems at work for the last few weeks or months, or honestly, I've been waiting for a reason to quit. I've been waiting on them to yell at me. I've been waiting on a reason to go to HR kind of thing. So instead of looking at it, it's like, yes, it's still a negative thing that happened for sure, but that negative thing had to happen for positive things to be able to come into your life, and for a positive result to happen from it. So I think it's important to have both neutrality and duality in our lives and kind of just look and see and pick in each situation which one's going to be best for you. Because it's not always going to be black and white, sometimes it is neutral and sometimes it's the other way around. But anyways, yeah, the universe is a giant conundrum if we haven't noticed. We just need to stop believing that like one aspect is like better than the other, because that was the thing in the beginning of my spiritual journey, was I was always chasing happiness, and I wanted that feeling of being so excited and so bombarded with love and happiness all the time, and that's not necessarily how the world works. It just isn't. There is bad stuff, there is good stuff. You have to have the bad stuff to understand what it's like to have good stuff, to be thankful when you do have good stuff. Yeah, so it's a giant conundrum, and it's complicated, and it's frustrating, but it's how it works. So I think it's just important to notice these laws, not also get mad at ourselves for not following them perfectly all the time, though, because a lot of them do contradict themselves. So, yeah, it's essentially just balancing of the scales, kind of figuring out when it's good to react in certain ways and feel certain ways, and when it actually benefits you and when it hurts you. Other than that, I think that's going to be mostly what I talk about for today. I just wanted to mention a little bit for you guys, chat a little bit, and I'll be posting probably next week with another podcast, or at least a sound bowl meditation, if not another podcast as well. Yeah, so let me know if you guys have any questions, suggestions, anything like that. I will try to answer as fast as I can. If I don't get your comment, I'll probably try to answer you in the next video that I do. Other than that, just look on my TikTok and follow me on social media. Thank you guys. Love and light.